Let's get back to our conversation with Warren Buffett. We've been talking about this news on Osama bin Laden, what he thinks about that. But we are also here today because we went to the Berkshire annual meeting over the weekend here in Omaha. And Warren, we want to thank you again for your time joining us this morning.
Delighted.
There were a lot of questions that came up at the annual meeting. Many questions shareholders had going in, and you spent some time talking to those 40,000 shareholders and explaining some of the events. But a lot of people still haven't heard what you had to say. And I think many people still have a basic question. What did you think about those trades that Dave Sokol made in Lubrizol before Berkshire's purchase of it?
Well, I thought they were wrong. And we did put up a transcript of everything that took place at the annual meeting at the Berkshire Hathaway website. So word for word, you can hear the questions and answers that took place. That's why I put it in the press release when he handed in his resignation. And it's why when we issued the press release, our lawyers called the head of enforcement at the SEC and laid out the facts for him because clearly it was a big mistake. Whether it was illegal or not is another question. I'm not the one to express an opinion.
Although you did say in that press release that you didn't think.
Based on what I knew then. And it turned out, although Dave had approved or confirmed the accuracy of what was in the press release twice. And of course, he went on your show the next day and did not deny any aspect of the press release. There was a statement about whether he knew that Lubrizol might have an interest. And I have read the Lubrizol recent proxy statement where it says that on December 17th that he was aware that Lubrizol had at least some interest in that Mr. Hambrick, the CEO, was going to take it to the Lubrizol board, and if that was the case, that does change the facts that I thought I knew and that Dave affirmed about that were in the press release.
You said, though, that you thought his actions were wrong, whether they were unlawful or not, when you put out that original press release about his stepping down.
Sure.
There are many people who have wondered why you didn't show more of a sense of outrage, more ruthlessness, more anger, if that were the case.
Yeah. People, there's no question about it. People feel that I did not show anger in there. I thought, actually, by saying this time I did not make any attempt to talk him into staying after he'd resigned twice earlier, and I had some time earlier, and that we laid out all of the facts that we knew at the time about his trading, which I think anybody that was reading the press release would think, this is really something that shouldn't have happened. I thought we'd done the job, but obviously I should have, in terms of public reaction, I should have expressed some anger, but I thought the facts sort of spoke for themselves.
Looking back, is there anything else that you wish you'd done differently? The press release is one thing, but do you wish you'd asked him more when he mentioned to you that he owned a stake in Lubrizol?
Well, I obviously wish I had, because it was not only saved Berkshire a lot of trouble, it saved him a lot of trouble. But when he talked to me on January 14th or 15th and said that Berkshire ought to take a look at Lubrizol and it might be a company that would fit us, and I said, how come? He said, well, I've owned the stock and I followed it, and it looks like our kind of company. Now, if any member of Berkshire's management or board had said that to me, I would not have assumed that they bought a lot of stock a few days before. I mean, it's just not consistent with that. But if I'd simply asked the question, would have saved Dave a lot of trouble, would have saved us a lot of trouble.
His lawyer put out another statement on Saturday after the annual meeting, and he says within this, he's deeply saddened that Mr. Buffett, whom he considered a friend and a mentor, would disparage him as he had done today. He said that Buffett and the audit committee at Berkshire had requested that neither of you had requested to speak nor has spoken to Mr. Sokol since his resignation was made public on March 30th.
Yeah, well, I haven't, but our lawyers interviewed him 3 times while I was over in Asia, actually, and I think they all took place in sort of that time frame. And then they requested this lawyer that apparently I don't know what was a specific one at that firm, but they requested that the day be made available, and nothing happened. So believe me, the audit committee would love to talk to Dave this afternoon. So it's an open invitation. But his lawyer, in terms of talking about the facts of the case, all I can say is his lawyer was not there.
Yeah, his lawyer says that there were many inaccuracies, or the audit committee report, he says, contains errors and omissions. Do you know what he's referring to?
No,
there?
I don't. And like I say, the lawyer wasn't there.
Okay. He also goes on to say that at no time did Mr. Sokol violate the law or any Berkshire policy.
Yeah. Well, the question of whether it violated the law is up to other people to determine. And there has been this additional fact that Lubrizol uncovered and put in their final proxy statement. In terms of violating the policies of Berkshire Hathaway, though, our audit committee report is on our website, and there's item after item, and I don't think anybody can read those words and then look at the acts and not conclude that the policies were violated.
We should point out that we have invited Barry Levine, who is Sokol's lawyer, along with Sokol himself, to come on the program and explain more themselves. We do hope to have one or both of them on the program again. We also should point out that many shareholders have said, okay, this is particularly concerning because Dave Sokol was someone a lot of people considered as the lead contender, if not a lead contender, for your job after you leave that position. Some people have said there need to be more controls as a result. What do you say?
Well, I think if you look at our code of ethics, insider trading rules, and IBM had a problem here with somebody in the Galleon case. Intel had a problem with somebody there at Deloitte and Touche 2 years ago with the 38-year veteran who was vice chairman, who happened to be in charge of the Berkshire account, was cited by the SEC for 9 insider trading violations. And I don't know whether anybody's ever looked at their codes, but if you compared them with ours, I'll bet they're quite similar. I don't think if somebody wants to break the rules, it can be done. Now, ironically, you would think if somebody were breaking the rules intentionally, they might do it through their cousin's name or some neighbor of a neighbor and all that. To my knowledge, David Alderson in his own name. So I said the other day it was inexplicable and inexcusable, and I really come down that way. In terms of disparaging him, Dave did a number of good things for Berkshire and for Mid-American that he ran, and I think it probably infuriated some people that I mentioned that. But the truth is he did do those, and he did an extraordinary thing when he diverted $12.5 million of his own compensation to his number 2 person, because he just felt that was a more fair division. I mean, that's pretty. I haven't had a lot of our executives do it, and I haven't seen a lot of that in corporate America. So I've seen him behave in honorable ways. I've seen him behave in very effective ways as a manager, and then unfortunately this happened.
Okay. And Joe, I know you have a question as well.
Yeah, Warren, when we had Dave Sokol on, he mentioned the BYD investment that Charlie Munger made, and you've talked about that. Charlie's talked about it. It was done long before he recused himself of any decisions when you were actually looking at BYD. So I'm not sure it's similar, and I understand that. But at this point, I guess Dave was trying to imply that maybe that this is something that might have happened before. Do you know with absolute certainty that nothing that has the perception of front running ever occurred before at Berkshire by one of your officers or employees? Did you go back 10 years, 20 years? Can we say that with certainty?
I've never seen it. I mean, and I have no evidence of it. Interestingly enough, with all the acquisitions we've done of public companies, if you take the week of trading before the announcement, I think you'll see no indication that things ran up or anything of the sort. I mean, when you say absolute certainty, I mean, I can't quite get there, but I can certainly say that I have never. We don't know of any. I've never seen any indication of it in market behavior of the securities involved in transactions that Berkshire was involved in. So it's as close to absolute certainty as I can get, Joe.
I know how much.
Can you just? Okay.
Sorry, I know.
Go ahead, Joe.
I know how much you keep up on everything that's written about Berkshire and how important reputation is. So I know you've seen what some individuals are saying at this point, and that is that after this situation, that standards and I'm quoting a New York Times piece, and I don't agree with this columnist. I never agree with him, but I'm going to quote this anyway. Standards and practices have to change. He's quoting someone. And that no longer can Berkshire can corporate governance and rules be based on the greatest investor of all time and what he thinks is the way that it should be done, that it has to be tightened up and there has to be more scrutiny. Will that be done, and is that a fair criticism?
Well, I invite him to look at our code of conduct, our insider trading rules, and compare them with, whether it's IBM or Intel or Deloitte and Touche or other people who've had problems with somebody with insider trading, and if they can be improved after you're looking at these other examples, our audit committee will be delighted to hear about it. But I don't think you'll find that the problem is in the rules. The problem is in people breaking the rules. And I would say this: I was on the audit committee of Coca-Cola, and Coca-Cola had about 1/5 as many employees as Berkshire. And every meeting of the audit committee, there would be 8 or 10 code violations. I mean, people break rules. We sent a fellow to jail that was a vice president of one of our subsidiaries for breaking the rules some years ago. The guy was a friend of mine. So people, if you have 260,000 people working for you, somebody is breaking rules, and the job is to find them. We have internal audit at the parent company. We have internal audits at the various subsidiaries. We have the rules that you can read on the internet. I hope our incidence of violations is less than average, but it won't be zero going forward. I can guarantee you that.
Warren, you've said, and Charlie Munger, we asked him specifically about this. When Dave Sokol was on our air, he said that he didn't think he had done anything wrong, and he didn't think it was any different than Charlie Munger owning a position in BYD before Berkshire's Mid-American bought a 10% stake in it. Can you tell me what's different about those two situations?
Charlie was in an investment partnership with a fellow named Lee Lu, and they had a position, a large position, for the partnership in BYD, and I'd known about that for a long, long time. And then I think through Lee Lu, the management of BYD indicated that they would be agreeable to a direct investment by Berkshire in about 10% of the company. That was brought to me by Charlie, and I knew of his interest, but a long time interest. It really was a plus to Berkshire that he'd had this long time investment, and we got the opportunity to buy directly from the company, not in the open market. If another director of Berkshire or a manager came and said, listen, I've owned this stock for a couple of years. That's what I thought Dave was saying. I've owned this stock for a couple of years, and I really think that Berkshire ought to do something in it. There would not be a problem with that. We actually bought the BYD stock in Mid-American, and we had a couple of other shareholders in Walter Scott and Greg Gable, and we took it to the board of Mid-American, and they knew Charlie through this partnership had an interest, and we really just thought it was a good opportunity. It was an opportunity that was literally brought to us because of fortunately the fact that Lee Lu had established this contact some years earlier.